Most people pick up a camera and spend years figuring out the same stuff. Nobody tells them what that stuff actually is. Not gear, not settings. There's something underneath all of that. I'm 6 years in, and this is what I've actually learned. Here's what I want you to walk away with. A clearer sense of what actually matters when you're developing as a photographer, videographer, or drone pilot, and what doesn't. Because a lot of people are spending time and money on the wrong things, nobody's really telling them that directly. So that's what this is. Just the stuff that actually moves the needle and stuff that doesn't. The most important thing I can tell you about cameras is also the thing most camera content completely ignores. The camera is neutral. It's a box. It just records light. It has no opinion of what's in front of it. Whatever comes out of it is a reflection of whoever is holding it, not the gear itself. Which means the quality of work is mostly determined before you pick up the camera. Here's some food for thought. What does this actually need to say? What should someone feel when they see it? What is this really about beyond what it looks like? If you don't have those answers first, the camera can't find them for you. And this connects to something I think about a lot, the difference between taking a shot and making one. Taking a shot is reactive. Sometimes you point your camera at it, you press the button, and you got it. Then you move on. When you make a shot intentional, you understand the subject. You thought about what this moment actually is, and you also made a decision about how to show it. The images look different, but you can feel the difference even when you can't explain it. That intentionality is the philosophy before the shot. It's not technical skill, it's a way of working, and it's the foundation that everything else is built on. Now, let me address a few things people get wrong about this. The biggest myth is the gap between where you are and where you want to be is gear. That if you had a better camera, a better lens, a better drone, the work would look the way you want it to. It won't. Not because gear doesn't matter at all, but because the gap is almost never the gear. The gap is usually skill, eyes, and the reps, and none of those come from upgrading. The second myth is that you need to be ready before you start. Ready is a moving target. It doesn't arrive. You get ready by working, not by waiting. So the actual work looks like this. You go on a shoot, you look at what you made, you figure out what went wrong, you shoot it again, and that's it. The art of practicing isn't complicated. It's paying attention to what worked and what didn't work, and being honest about why. Not shooting and moving on. Actually sitting with the images or the footage and asking what you could have done differently is something that you should consider. The one thing that helped me early on is not just looking at the good stuff. It's also looking at the frames just before and the one after that worked. Here's some more food for thought. What made that specific moment the one shot? And why did that shot land compared to the others? Those questions teaches you more than any tutorial. And there's something I want to say about getting the shot specifically. I remember back then when I started, I was very focused on not missing something that I actually wasn't present for it. I was checking my screen, adjusting settings, thinking about the angle, and then the real moment just passes by. The camera has to be secondary enough so that you actually see what's happening. That's a skill. It takes time, but it's the difference between documentation and something that actually feels alive. Let me talk about gear specifically because this is where most people spend most of their energy and usually in the wrong direction. And I totally get it. I'm a gear nerd myself. I went through this all the damn time. My first camera wasn't good, and it doesn't matter what it was. The images I made on it was probably most of my honest work that I produced. Granted, it probably looked like crap, but it helped me build a foundation. And that's also because I didn't have any options to hide behind. There's no features that made it look pretty, even though it was complete shit. The limitations forced me to solve problems with composition, timing, lighting, and whatever limited features I had access to. So I have the Sony a7 IV, and I've shot on different camera bodies, and regardless of how different each camera body's image quality was, the foundation, or like the vision that I had taking it was pretty much accurate to what I wanted. And here's the thing about specs. It's a trap. And this catches almost everyone at some point. I remember when I got caught with it, it was with a 4K 60, no crop. Anyway, You start looking at the sensor, dynamic range, low light performance, frame rates, and then you start reading comparison articles. You go through a bunch of freaking review videos, and somewhere in that process, you start believing that the camera that scores the highest is the thing that produces the best work. And as someone who's done all of that, it's really not. The specs are just specs. They're the tools, capabilities. It is your job to understand the tool and to use it well, but don't get too caught up in the gear and like the specs. Before you spend money on new gear, ask yourself 3 things. 1, can my current camera actually not do what I'm trying to do? Or do I just not know how to use it yet? There's a difference. Most of the time, it's the second one. 2, have I fully explored what my current setup is capable of? Most people haven't. They know their camera on a surface level, but they just haven't pushed it to its limits. 3, what specifically will change about my work if I upgrade? If you can't answer that with something concrete, not images will look better, but actually what will change and why. Now, understanding your camera body matters, but not in the way most people think. It's not about memorizing every menu option. It's about knowing what your camera does and doesn't handle well, and building your shots around that understanding. A high contrast scene. How does your camera sensor respond? In low light, where does your camera start to break down? Fast movement. What does your autofocus do under pressure? That knowledge is practical. It changes how you shoot. It's the technical foundation that sits under everything else. And when you combine that body knowledge with the skill, the eye, the intention, the philosophy, that's when the work starts to become yours. The gear becomes an extension of how you see instead of a limitation on it. One more thing here, figure out what you're actually trying to do with the camera. Are you trying to do portrait work, documentary, commercial video, drone coverage, events, long exposure, wildlife? These are different disciplines, they reward different skills, and they require different things from your gear. A lot of people buy cameras for what cameras can theoretically do before they know what they specifically want to do. And then they end up with something that doesn't fit how they actually work. And I'm not saying like you need to know specifically what you want to do, but at least have a direction of where you are heading. Know your focus first, and the gear question answers itself from there. Last thing, and I mean this genuinely, this is supposed to be fun. Not in a motivational poster way, just if every shoot feels like a grind, something's off. The work gets better and you're actually going to enjoy the process. Curiosity produces better images than pressure. And that's true in my experience, so enjoy it. Make your work something you actually care about. The skills build up on top of that. That's the foundation. After 6 years of figuring this out, most of it was done by doing it wrong first. And if this is where you're going, stick around. The next video goes into the philosophy section, and the thinking happens before you pick up the camera. That's the one that sets everything else up. If you've got questions, drop them down below. That's genuinely what I'm here for. I'm going to make a full playlist in the description, and I'll leave a community link down there too. Thanks for watching.